There are very few times I've cried from pure excitement in my life, but today is one of them. Ignore my voice, I am extremely tired, but Folklores without a doubt is one of, if not the strongest unit in the game from my dreams, and it's absolutely amazing. I really don't like overhyping characters, and I'll even cover some of her potential flaws later, but in terms of just how many characters Furina is going to improve, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And just as a warning, everything I say is going to be subject to change, of course, which I will notify you in the pinned comment. So first, before anything, as I promised in my predictions, I'll be giving away welkins based on if I was right or wrong about some things, and from the looks of it, I'll have to give away 2 welkins. So if you want to enter that giveaway, go to the description below and join my Discord server where the giveaway will be hosted. Also, I forgot to do my intro, but I don't give a flying shit. Let's just dive straight into it. I'm going to use very vague wording, so Dawe from the small indie company Hoyoverse doesn't personally copy strike me, but Furina essentially is Xingqiu, Yelan, Fischl, and a bit of Bennett combined. Her skill is an instance of Hydro damage that will then give you 3 different types of Ozes that all deal Hydro damage. I haven't yet dreamed up the intervals yet, as there's no gameplay, but because there are 3 summons, we can just flat out assume she's like Yelan and will be able to act as a solo Hydro enabler. And the best thing about these synchronized attacks is that they don't need you to use a normal attack, they just proc unconditionally all the time, and her skill actually has 2 forms. From my dreams, if you do a charge attack on Furina, you will get a different form which heals you based on Furina's HP. Also, her damage is also based on her HP. She will also drain your entire team's HP if they are above 50% when her skill does damage. And you don't need to worry about uptime at all because the skill duration is ridiculous, which opens up future synergies. The damage I've seen from early calcs on its singles hits is nuts, and Ishri can trigger her skill quite frequently. She's looking to be a damage upgrade even over Yelan. But the problem does kind of come from the fact that it drains all your teammates' HP, which shouldn't be that bad because she heals, right? Well, you can't really do damage and heal at the same time, and the only way to switch these modes is through on-fielding her and doing a charge attack, which could be janky. So we just have to see how this turns out practically. Then for her burst, because you know dreams are very complicated, to be as simple as possible, you deal an instance of damage, and whenever you drain or gain HP, you generate 1 stack. And the more stacks you have, the more damage your entire team does. What? I actually don't see a way this doesn't just immediately get nerfed, because this is a bigger buff than Yelan's A4 to your entire team, and you can also get 100% uptime on it. But when her burst ends, all your stacks are cleared and you have to build them back up. So it is kind of a backloaded buff. The only real caveat to this burst is that it does have a decently high energy requirement, but at C0 this might not even be that big of a deal. Since all of her Hydra app is tied to her skill, building full damage on Furina and just bursting every other rotation probably isn't going to be that bad of an idea unless you're using someone like Nuvolette, who does so much personal damage it would be a waste to not buff it. So her energy requirements and burst importance are most likely just going to vary from team to team. And then for Ascension passives, the first one basically just gives you more efficient healing when you overheal, and the second improves her damage even further by her HP, which is what I predicted. I actually got a lot of things right. Of course, me and Furina are married after all, with her having both Numa and Uja, and her burst being basically damaged boost Bennett. So now with her kit covered, let's talk about her synergies, because she's a massive buff to literally almost every character in the game. The first thing is to any on-field damage dealer, they can now just run the 4-piece hunter set without any real downsides, which is ridiculous. I made a tier list to show who really benefits from Furina and who doesn't really, which I'll put up on screen right now. In terms of characters that benefit a ridiculous amount, going off a very jumpy impression, so I could be wrong in some things, or didn't factor in some things, but Hu Tao kind of just got a lot stronger. Kicking Xingqiu out of double Hydra for Furina allows your Yelan to do more damage, and Hu Tao to do more damage as well, just raising the team ceiling. And if you pair her with another off-field damage dealer like Fischl, you get Fischl's damage buffed by Furina and Overvape, and you don't even have to really worry about sustain because you have Furina's healing. Speaking of Pyro Queens, Dea also gets a decent bump. HP scalers don't have a Bennett to boost their damage, which Furina sort of does, and because her trigger condition isn't relying on normal attacks, she'll boost Dea's damage further and allow her to vape some of her punches, which could open up some more usable Dea carry combs. I'm not too versed in Dea TC, so you guys can tell me how that will work. Next, another massive winner is going to be Sino. She can buff and apply Hydro for Sino's entire duration, while also having higher personal damage than Xingqiu. Also, if you pair Sino with Baizu, he would allow your Furina to gain more stacks, and further increase all of your team's damage and healing. And that's kind of the reason Baizu is this high, since with Furina's drain you'll be getting a lot of HP changes, and you won't need to switch Furina to her healing mode at all, which is just a nice convenience. Now for our Hydro girls, I don't even think I really have to explain Yelan. A massive boost to her already ridiculous damage, when Yulon didn't have that many ways to increase her own damage through buffs. And Candace gives you a Hydro Infusion which would allow you to on-field Furina a lot better at C0, making her potentially like a niche buffer to Furina hyper teams. For C6 Lynette, Hazel, and Sucrose, this just further boosts their Electrocharge driving teams through the roof. The thing about Taser Comps is that you couldn't run a buffer like Bennett really, so you were just relying on all the characters unbuffed to damage, but now Furina is going to buff everyone's damage on the team, so yeah. And now you can just replace Jingcho and have a better form of sustain through Furina's healing. Additionally, both the Traveler and Nuvula are the same case again. There's no Bennett for HP, and Furina kind of acts like that, giving Nuvula and Hydro Traveler a really good teammate. What Furina essentially did to everyone in the benefits a lot tier is give people who aren't running Bennett a very good way to boost their damage, which something like Taser or HP scalers didn't really have, besides just Kazuha. The reason why Furina is so good is because she's quite literally like Bennett, Jingcho, Yulon, and Fischl, all as the same character, which is nuts. But also sucks for some characters, and some popular characters, because I think now with this information, Kokomi is just dead. There's almost no reason to pull Kokomi now. On freeze you didn't really need that much mitigation in the first place, which Furina still has, and now couple it in with the fact that Furina has a higher damage profile, and potentially can be an AoE Hydro Applicator. That means Kokomi is no longer really needed on freeze. And for Nilou Bloom, you could run something like Furina with Baizu, or any other Hydro or Dendro. Kokomi might still be the best, but we need to see Furina's gameplay to judge. And then for any other Bloom teams like Hyper Bloom or Burgeon, Furina again is just going to be a damage upgrade that can have some sustain. And for comparisons to Jingcho, if you have both Furina and Yulon, there is kind of no... Actually no. Now that I think about it, you can basically run double Hydra one side, and then solo Jingcho the other side, so maybe Jingcho doesn't just become useless, but he seems to always just be a damage downgrade. And Furina again has her own form of sustain through her healing. Maybe because Furina does drain HP for all your teammates, you might want to run Jingcho over Yulon in double Hydro teams for just consistency. And you get to never turn on Furina's healing until things get really bad, but we again don't have the gameplay to really judge that, so we'll see. And I also put Mona in this tier because she actually just does nothing now. Furina has a better damage profile and offers a bigger buff. So to explain the other tiers, because I don't think it's worth going into that much detail, the benefit slightly tier is for damage dealers that can now run the Hunter set, but don't really have a massive synergy with Furina, cryo damage dealers that now have a more offensive Kokomi, and basically any bloom based character that can use Furina as a Hydro. The potentially tiers for characters where we just need to see Furina in game to just get a better judgment, and doesn't care, most likely just doesn't really care for Furina, because they're used on mono teams. And because I am the Fischl guy, I do think Furina and Fischl have potential to be a very strong team core. Jingcho and Fischl was already a pretty good core, as you can add them to any character and get good single target damage. And now you can do that again, but Fischl now gets buffed from Furina, and this team core is completely flexible due to Furina's sustain. And I find it ironic that both Furina and Fischl both start with F and have this same medium female body type, and are also both extremely proud characters. They are literally me, minus the female body. So with all her synergies done, as you should give all mortal possessions to this proud dumbass, let's look at her constellations. Her C1 is going to actually be the first good Archon C1, as it allows you to gain even more stacks, giving you a damage bonus that is better than Kazuha's, which again, what the fuck? Her C2 is basically C6 Yulon for 10 seconds. You get a Hydro Infusion and go absolutely crazy. Her C1 just gives more energy. And lastly, her C6 doubles the stat gain from her burst, making you get to the max damage bonus quicker, and if you do reach the max cap, she boosts her own max HP further, boosting all of her damage. All in all, her constellations are ridiculous, especially her C2. She just becomes a hyper carry. Furina, depending on how prevalent her gameplay issues are, is shaping up to just be the best character in the game, with some of the best vertical investment, and I am all for it. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts on Furina, as I'd love to hear it and I respond to almost every single comment. And I will also be updating you guys whenever we get new news on her. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys on the flip side. Peace.